Hi guys, in today's video we're going to be painting an Aliens Xenomorph from start to finish. But first of all I want to say a huge thank you to a few different people. First of all I'd like to say a huge thank you to the Army Painter for sending me out the tap air paints to use in this tutorial. I also want to say a huge thank you to the airbrush company for providing me with all my airbrushing equipment like the Iwata airbrushes you see in this video. Lastly, I'd like to thank Woofu Workshop for the 3D print that you see in front of us. As always guys, this is going to be a long video, so please get comfortable, grab yourself a nice hot drink or maybe my personal favourite, an ice cold beer, and we'll get started with the tutorial. Here you can see that I'm going to start off by priming the miniature using the Army Painter's matte black primer. You'll see that I build up the primer layer nice and slowly, and I'm not overspraying or spraying heavily if you like. The reason for this is I don't want to saturate the miniature with too much paint at one time, and I also keep the airbrush moving. The reason for this is I don't want again to build up too much paint in any one spot at any one time. Here I'm using my trusty Iwata Eclipse airbrush, which I've had for a very long time. It's got a 0.35 needle nozzle set, which is absolutely perfect for spraying heavier mediums like primers. I'm spraying at roughly 20 psi, and again just getting a nice even coverage of that black Army Painter primer. After allowing the primer to dry, we're going to be painting the Army Painter's plate mail metal air paint on the entirety of the miniature. This is a lovely metallic colour, and we're going to be subsequently painting washes over the top of it to add depth and colour to the miniature. Now we're going to be painting an all over wash if you like with the Army Painter Speed Paint 2.0 Bony Matter. This is going to give a really nice look to the metallics, and it's also going to start giving us that really nice oily looking xenomorph that's so famous from the films. If you're not happy with the amount of bony matter on the miniature after the first passing, then don't worry, we can let it dry for a little while and come back with a second passing of the bony matter. What we're aiming for is a really heavy wash, so take your time to build it up, and once you got the miniature looking pretty much like you see now on camera, you know that we're ready to pretty much finish with the bony matter spray. Now we're going to be using shiny silver, and we're going to be using it as a dry brush. We're going to be dry brushing all the metallic areas of the miniature, the mandible that's coming out of the mouth of the xenomorph. We're also going to be ever so slightly dry brushing certain areas of interest on the xenomorph as well, like parts of the tail, little parts of the chest area, and any areas that we really want to pop out on the miniature. And here you can see what the Xenomorph's looking like after we've dry brushed all that metallic onto the miniature. Here I'm going to switch over to my brand new Iwata HPCH Highline airbrush. The reason I'm switching over airbrushes is this is more suited to fine line spraying, and you can get more control out of this airbrush than the Iwata Eclipse. Also, it has a MAC valve on the front of the airbrush, also known as a micro air control. This allows me to control the airflow out of the airbrush, making sure I get really accurate lines. What I'm doing is painting all of the areas that are due to be mud colour onto the base and also onto that tower of the Xenomorph. Here I'm adding the Army Painter's War Paints Fanatic Strong Tone Wash. I've also thinned it down with some of the airbrush medium from the Army Painter, as I don't want the effect to be too strong and I want to control how thick it goes down onto the miniature. I'm picking out areas of detail using Tap Air's charred bone. We're going to be dry brushing all of the skulls and a few tiny little areas on the Xenomorph himself, like some of the ribbing on his legs and arms, but mainly concentrating on those skulls. The Army Painter's matte black is now going to be sprayed on the lip of the base and also on certain areas of the miniature, just to add more texture and more colour dimension to the miniature. Now we're coming back in with bony matter over the dry brushing that we've just done to make those skulls look even more awesome. We're also going to be adding some bony matter around the base and also on some of the tower, just to add more colour depth and more variation to the base and to that muddy tower. The last thing we're going to do is add the Army Painter's gloss varnish. We're going to add it to the very top surface of the Xenomorph's head. I'm not sure what part of this head this is called, so we'll just call it the top part. And we're just going to apply the gloss varnish in 2 coats. So I apply it firstly, and then I let it thoroughly dry for about half an hour, and then I come back in and gave it another coat. This was to build up a really nice high gloss sheen on the very top surface of the Xenomorph's head. And here we have the finished article, the Aliens Xenomorph. This was super simple to paint. I hope you found it really easy to follow along. We've not used much colours, no advanced techniques, but the end result looks very pleasing to the eye. I really hope you like this tutorial, guys, and as you can see, it was very simple to achieve. We used very few colours and no advanced techniques, so I hope this was truly easy to follow along to. Lastly, I want to thank the Army Painter, the Airbrush Company, Woofu Workshop, and you for watching. Take it easy and I'll catch you in the next one.